Hello all YouTubers, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning back into this Hurricane Delta coverage for October 8th, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest forecast and best forecast from the Weather Dude, then please, every single one of you that is not subscribed, please click the subscribe and the ring and the notification bell so you guys stay up to date with the latest The Weather Dude content. And also, please watch the whole video. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for 1,000 subscribers. It really does mean a lot to me. And this is taking the next step towards monetization, so please watch the whole video. It really does help out my channel a lot. And also, please give this video a like and share this with your friends. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. Oh boy, we got Hurricane Delta on our hands today. And this is looking like a pretty good beast of a storm here. All right, so we have current winds of 105 miles per hour. In a couple minutes here, we'll actually have the 5 o'clock update. Oh, we actually have it. It is now a 115 mile per hour Category 3 hurricane. I mean, I literally just set this up like 5 minutes ago, so we're just getting the data in now for the 5 o'clock update. It is now a Cat 3 hurricane, but take note of this as well. It is now going to make landfall as a Cat 3 hurricane as well. Before we were anticipating a Cat 2 landfall, now been upgraded to a Cat 3 landfall, so keep that in mind. Also, like I said, the storm itself is also a Cat 3 now. And also look at the forward speed. It's slowed down a bit to 12 miles an hour. I believe it was 14 to 15 before. So just keep that in mind. As the slower the storm, more rainfall can be dumped. We still got our tropical storm warnings and our hurricane warnings along the Texas and Louisiana coastlines. Keep in mind, hurricane warnings do now actually go into Texas as well. And tropical storm warnings farther west than that. So Texas will be getting hit by this as well. So I'm going to give all my maps a little refresh just so you guys can get the latest data here. We have earliest reasonable tropical storm force wind arrival time. Now that's probably going to be around Friday morning, I think. Probably anywhere between 2 and 8 o'clock. Like after 2 a.m. but before 8 a.m. We'll, at least along the coastline, we will see those tropical storm force winds arrive, and maybe like mid to late morning for northern Louisiana, and then for like northern Mississippi into Tennessee, maybe like late Friday and overnight Friday into Saturday. Wind history here. Again, there is your stripe of hurricane force winds, not too big, but there it is. Went through Cancun. Tropical storm force winds indicated by the orange, so no one in the U.S. has experienced tropical storm force winds yet. But this storm is growing, okay? So it's going to increase the surge because the storm is so big, and now we're getting more intensity upgrades, so that's not good either. So the storm is currently sitting at 115. It will strengthen now back to 125 potentially, going to National Hurricane Center 2 a.m. So again, important updates here with winds gusting close to Cat 5. Keep in mind, Cat 5 winds are 157. Winds could be gusting to 155. Keep in mind, we need sustained winds to be 155 or 157, I should say, for it to be a Cat 5. But no, that's just a wind gust. But still, occasional wind gusts can get that high. It can be pretty dangerous. All right. Then we have 120. It will still. We're still anticipating a slight weakening before landfall, just not we're anticipating a stronger landfall than before now. So 120 mile per hour maximum sustained wind near its landfall with winds gusting to 150. And I knew this was going to strengthen because I was just looking at the aircraft reconnaissance before I started this video, and I know that they're picking up some flight level winds of about 120 or 125, but those always go a little bit over because they're a little bit higher up in the atmosphere. So they were picking up some good amount of surface winds as well. So I knew that this was probably going to get upgraded. Surge we'll take a look at as well. This says 7 to 11 feet, but the key messages hasn't been updated since 11 o'clock. No matter how many times I refresh this will not update. Probably for another several minutes. Hurricane force winds will also be extending far inland because even though I said the storm is slowing down a bit, it's never going to come to a complete halt. This will keep moving. So, and because it's going to keep moving, hurricane force winds will go farther inland than they usually do. So just because you might live in Alexandria or Shreveport, Louisiana, and you're farther inland, does not mean you're going to miss out on the hurricane force wind threat. As a matter of fact, if I go back to wind speed probabilities and go to hurricane wind speed probabilities, there is still a chance that northern central Louisiana does pick up on it, even though the chances are low. You guys still have the chance to pick up on hurricane force winds. Alrighty, so let's go to surge inundation. Although I'll show you the peak surge map because that's a lot more simpler to read. But anywhere in this red shade, we can see surge higher than 9 feet above normally dry ground. All right, so thank goodness New Orleans seems to be missing out on some of the surge. I think New Orleans, your biggest threat, winds gusting past 60 miles an hour. I think that'll be your biggest threat. And of course, that can lead to some minor water level rises, but nothing like 6 to 9 feet, or well over that, actually, I should say. 9 feet plus for just areas south of Lafayette, east of Lake Charles, west of Morgan City. All right, now here's the surge map. Now, I probably should update this one as well. All right, so let's get that one is all refreshed. There we go. Okay, so it doesn't look like much changed. But if we go to the peak surge map, and let's see if they might, if they haven't changed this yet, I'll come back. No, this hasn't been updated since 11. So I think they update this more so in the major updates, which are 11 and 5 o'clock. So I'll come back to this in a few minutes past 5, and we'll see if that changed at all. All right, so rainfall, probably around 6 to 10 inches. They've been adding 10 to 15 spots, but I think they've been taking it away now. But still, 6 to 10, all right, the rainfall is a little bit lower, thankfully, because the storm is moving. But either you're going to have a fast-moving storm and it's going to produce higher winds, or you're going to have a slower-moving storm that dumps tons of rainfall. So really, you can't win. But still, 4 to 10 inches plus of rainfall, 4 to 6 in that yellow color, 6 to 10 in the orange color. And also keep in mind that the dark green, which is 2 to 4 inches plus, goes well inland as well. Over to the Mid-Atlantic, you can see a couple inches of rain eventually when this does move in. We got our flash flooding map, and that red area has expanded now. So moderate flooding potential has expanded. Moderate to high flooding is certainly possible. Alrighty, so getting into the sea surface temperature anomalies. Now, don't let this catch you off guard. I know you might be thinking, well, the sea surface temperatures are much below average. We're fine. Well, A, it's not much below average. It's actually slightly below average. And even though that's the case, like I always say, the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean are so warm anyway. So even if the waters are a little bit below average, look at this. Water temperatures are still in the low to even mid-80s for where the storm is right now. So this storm is still, I wouldn't say completely thriving like it was in the Caribbean, but it's still got a good developing environment. All right. Now, Hurricane Delta, again, this particular thing isn't updated, but it did update you guys 115 mile per hour winds. Pressure is still very low, 966 millibars, okay? So that's very low pressure for the level that it's at. Aircraft reconnaissance, I think, will also come back to, all right, because they made their first pass through the storm. They actually picked up pressure of 959 millibars, all right? Hopefully, there's also another storm out in the tropical Atlantic, as you can see right here. Hopefully, we'll be able to update you guys on that hopefully tomorrow. Let's see, pressure, yes, National Hurricane Center picked up 959, and that's exactly what the, let me go back to that, hurricane hunters that picked up on their first pass, right there at 959. Now, I think they're going to pick up some stronger winds when they fly through this because, like, there's some stronger convection on the north side of the storm and the northwest side. Now, I know that's kind of unusual because usually it's on the northeast side, but the storm has gone through a little bit of weakening, so it's got a little bit of time to reorganize itself. But the north side is actually where the strongest convection is, so that's where they may find the highest winds. All right. Now, looking at our winds here. So like I said, they've been picking up some winds maybe closer to 95 knots, which is why I think they kind of upgraded that. But like I said, the hurricane hunters had to make so many more passes through the storm before they could really gather some data. So we saw the eye come back pretty briefly, but when it did show up, it showed up very clearly on the satellite imagery. You can see it real briefly right there, and then it kind of opens and then recloses a bit. All right. So like I said, convection on your north and northwest side, but it's still looking like a pretty well organized storm, except for the fact that most of the gray and all the convection's on the west side. Other than that, it's looking like a very healthy storm. So if this becomes western loaded and this makes landfall like just east of the Texas borderline, be careful. Eastern Texas may get the worst of this. Maybe not the worst of the surge, but maybe the worst of the rainfall. So looking at where the low is located currently, we have it running around 93 degrees west and 24.5 degrees north. So 93 west is actually pretty far west. So a little bit farther west than anticipated, although we do have the track set now, pretty much locked on to a southwestern Louisiana coastline landfall. All right, model track guidance. Like I said, look, here we go. It's going to make a north and north-northeast turn, landfall near Lake Charles, Cameron, kind of like Hurricane Laura. Now, to some of them, I thought Hurricane Laura, the surge was, yes, we did get lucky with Laura. The surge somehow was able to be lowered. But this storm will have much higher, I wouldn't say much higher, but definitely higher surge than Laura. I think Laura had about 9 feet of surge, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, but for a Cat 4 hurricane, the surge usually is about 14, 15 feet. So I think we lucked out in that department with Laura, but it was still a very devastating storm. Surge with this will probably be around 11 feet. It could even be a bit more than that if The surge comes in at high tide, which in some areas it may, some areas it may not. Some people have different tide cycles here, but again, there's your track. All the models definitely do agree. Pressure, again, lowering. Again, don't necessarily look at the strength. I like to look at these more so for the track because obviously the pressure is 959, not 979. These also may need to be updated, but the updates do come in a bit late. All right, now we have the GEPS model tracks as well. As you can see, there's your landfall on the southwest Louisiana coastline. And the intensity guidance, like I said, most of the models don't even make it a Cat 3 anymore, even though this was actually updated 18Z, which is pretty weird. All right, but hopefully when we get the next update, they'll change because it's not a Cat 2, this is now a Cat 3 right there. So hopefully the models will be able to update on that. But you can still see, once it makes landfall, obviously it will be weakening down to a tropical depression pretty quickly. Now, the only reason it may not weaken pretty quickly is because, again, this does have more forward speed, which means more destructive winds can be carried inland, so keep that in mind. All right, we got the HWRF model here, and there's your just shield of rain coming to Louisiana. I'll show you the rainfall totals with the GFS model because HWRF is an intensity model, doesn't really provide that. All right, then there's a storm moving through Louisiana, through Mississippi, all right, and then eventually moving through Indiana, upper Midwest, and before you know it, the storm's in Canada, all right, and moving through the Mid-Atlantic. Now, HWRF, again, winds about 100 knots is actually what they're aiming towards. So, again, that's about 115 miles an hour. They have it weakening a bit more for landfall, but like I said, the storm's already on land by this point, so it's going to go through some weakening. So, they're calling for about 100 to 105 at landfall, which is what we were saying at first, but keep in mind, 12Z, this is 12Z. Now, 12Z, again, technically means 8 a.m. this morning, but for some reason, like I said, it's weird because the 12Z model runs come out in the afternoon. So these are the model runs that we have. Unless you get a lucky model like the NAM models come out a bit earlier, which I like. Like right now, the NAM models are pretty much done. They're 18Z, which is pretty good. Anyway, so looking at the cyclonic vortices signature, you can see a lot of energy still. I think it's a bit more energy now than it will at landfall, but you still got that very narrow, dangerous band at northern eyewall that greatest potential energy, or what we call ACE, accumulated cyclone energy. It's a term that we use as well. All right, but keep in mind when a storm comes ashore, you always have to watch that. There's a one band that comes inland, and here it is right there. If you watch when I live stream some of the hurricanes, you can see there's always this one band that breaks apart from the main circle of energy, and it's always don't worry. I experienced 2 tropical systems as well. One of them was actually a near hurricane, Faye and Isaias. Isaias obviously being the more destructive one. So I know. I mean, these bands have come through. There's a one band that becomes separated from the main area of energy, like right here. You can see it. And that's the one that always produces a lot of damage inland. So keep that in mind. Watch for that one band. That's why I love the HWRF because they point out detail really well and very accurate in terms of intensity. Now, GFS, I will be able to share the rainfall for, so I will do that. Look at some of the rainfall rates, though, pushing 50 millimeters per hour. All right, and then moving inland with still very heavy rainfall. All right, and this will be lasting over about 90 or so hours. Will probably be well on out of here. So let's switch to southeastern US right there so I can show you the total cumulative precipitation, because while it's zoomed in on the storm, they won't provide that. So there we go. So GFS rainfall, they're calling for pretty much around 6 to 10 inches. Right at the spot where it makes landfall, they're calling for more close to 12 inches, which GFS is going pretty high on the rainfall. All right, but that's pretty much what we're expecting. And their wind projection's a bit down. All right, considering that the storm's 100 knots of wind right now, and they have it at 80 at its maximum, but just look at this more so for the track, because these models don't get a chance to update as much. And there you go. One thing I don't like about the GFS too is that they have the winds always disappear as soon as storms make landfall. Like there's no more wind with the storm system. So some of the models have a little bug, but this is why I like the HWRF. It's detailed. All right, as you saw that one band. All right, that's one band right here that could produce all the damage inland. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys for watching today's video. I'm The Weather Dude signing off till next time. Stay awesome, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.